streaming thing. Um, when I used to do these semi-regularly, it was generally a sign that I was experiencing like some serious form of loneliness, and that I was using my content as a way to supplement the social interaction I was not getting, um, or as some kind of like mood booster, because I had rightfully identified the fact that these videos and these live streams, to be more specific, tend to help me feel better, at least to some extent. So I've been doing these a lot more lately, um, because I have not been feeling that good. Also, hello Joshua, welcome to the chat. Um, Still have not returned to Discord. I made a burner account after some guy commented on the last stream that they were going to um, they were going to do the sham marriage thing that I like briefly mentioned in my last stream, to get me to Italy. But then I talked to them and they were Italian, yes, but it turned out that they were like half trolling me. So that turned out to not be an option. Also, welcome to the chat, Drunken Ninja 98. Fuck did my lighter go? Um, yeah, like that was a that was a sad turn of events, to be sure. I mean, it's not like I got my hopes up about it. I didn't really expect anything to come of it because it's like random people on the internet, no less. And so, uh, like, the it was a crapshoot as to whether or not like he even turned out to be from the continent. And of course, um, only one of the things that he said was the case. So I'm back to the drawing board on that front. I was doing research about truck driving today, because I like to drive, um, and I feel like that's something that I could practice to the point of being able to do. Um, the only thing I would be concerned about is the hours. Like they make you stay up an absurd amount of time, trucker Osaka. Yeah, um, but the job pays decently, and it's not something that requires a degree, but it is something that can get you into Canada. I crashed today. Holy shit! Are you okay? Yeah, don't do that. That's not a good idea. You don't want to crash your car. Osaka convoy. Um, yeah, just expensive though, so you're okay. It was just expensive. Like, apparently, there's some provinces in Canada that need um, truckers more than others, or in general, they're looking for people who will work there. But it seems like the main thing you're going to be looking at is a temporary work visa, which can't exceed 2 years, and then you get reevaluated after you go back to your own country. It's hard to find permanent work by doing that to get like an actual work visa. Um, and so I started thinking, like, what if I just apprenticed as a plumber? Like, I would hate, I would hate being a plumber, but I wonder if it's possible for me to learn to like it, because like, um, I've done some home repairs before, and I'm being taught how to do them right now. So, like, if I can find the enjoyment in that, and I know how to measure shit, like most of the math involved with plumbing is just like like at the highest level, it's algebra and geometry, which is not particularly difficult. Most of it's just measuring shit. So it's not something you even need to be like particularly smart to do. It's just it's just like a lot of a lot of effort being trained to be able to do it. But I'm trying to research blue collar work basically. Trucking has really good pay. Yeah, that's what it seems like. You just have to work like really long hours, it seems. But um I like the idea of just driving for a long time, because you can play your own music and listen to podcasts all day, which like out of all of the jobs like that, I feel like that would be pretty easy to stand. I'm trying to get a job at a grocery store, a local grocery store right now as a cashier, uh, and yeah, that wouldn't be too bad. Euro Truck Simulator stream when LMAO. Um, I did a review of that game in the past. It was funny. That review was really fucked up, like with how it looked, as I recorded my own footage, and I was on a really old, shitty computer at the time, and I didn't know that I was experiencing graphical errors. So I recorded footage with Euro Truck Simulator looking like an N64 game, and I basically reviewed it from that framework without knowing that that's not what the actual game looks like. When I get a yeah, the video was called Euro Cuck Simulator. When I get a good computer again, because my good computer broke, I'm probably going to start doing Euro Truck streams because my friend No Thank You does those. Let me see here. My posts aren't showing up in private tab. I have a I have all messages open, so I don't know why. I have work in 5 hours. I've been trying to sleep for the past 4 hours. Yeah, I know that feel, man. I've been there. Um, yeah, just try your best. Stay away from blue light. Stop watching the stream. Or maybe just listen to it. Listening to things helps me sleep. But don't like open your phone up to type because the more blue light that you have around you when you're trying to sleep, the less likely you're able to sleep. You should stay away from all blue light 2 hours before sleeping. No, how's everyone doing tonight? Or my sham marriage comment question mark? If you left a comment, I would have read it. Uh, so I don't know, just maybe write in like a Unicode font or something, and like convert all of your posts to Unicode font, and then I'll be able to see them. Yeah, how is everyone doing tonight? Have I ever used sock? Yes, I have. I've posted to there, like, um, I've posted a Discord to there before, um, but I didn't really make any friends that way. Uh, so I kind of gave up on it. You could be the Chad Trucker to No Thank You's Virgin simulation streams. That's funny. They have adopt neat threads. I'm really, really skeptical of the whole adopt a neat thing because that seems like a super easy way to end up being like domestically abused by somebody because you're basically saying, I'm going to economically rely on you entirely, and now my whole life is going to be dependent on you, this random stranger I've met on 4chan. That sounds like a recipe for disaster. I've just been finishing all of Higurashi. I still need to read Higurashi. Scam? Yeah, it sounds like a pretty easy scam to do to like prey upon desperate people. Um, I thought about doing the whole adopt a neat thing for somebody else once I have my shit together, but like the good version for it, like the version of it without any abuse. I think that would be a nice thing to do. You know, keep some desperate person from getting raped by some disgusting 4chaner. But obviously I'm not in the position to do that right now. Yeah, I've been meaning to read Higurashi because Rika Fag is really into it. Um, but I've yet to dive into that like what 50-hour visual novel just to understand what connection it has to Ayn Rand or whatever. Kaya Smith says, "Holy heck, Osaka! I'm glad to see you're okay." Thank you. Are you the Kaya that I used to know on Discord back when I had access to my account? Um, if you're that Kaya, hello. Um, oh, hi. Yeah, I'm hopefully gonna be able to get access to my old account soon. It's just on a hard drive to a computer that doesn't work, but I'm like kind of dead until then. Higurashi is way longer than 50 hours. Yeah, it's pretty long. It's closer to 80 hours. Holy shit. I did read and watch like every spin-off thing too, so it was super long. Holy fucking shit. Uh, how different are the anime from the visual novels? I gotta know. Um, thoughts on evolutionism and network spirituality? How is that any different from like transhumanist stuff? I've never heard of these terms before. Is this like serial experiments lane on steroids? What is this? I don't You're gonna have to define the terms. Probably in Unicode, given the fact that it like the chat keeps censoring you. Um I don't know why. I don't know why they keep doing this to people. Higurashi Kira is pretty good as a send-off to the series though. Yeah, that makes sense. The anime leans a lot more on the horror aspect. The visual novel has a different atmosphere. The horror is still there though, and the VN can be bloated as fuck. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, given the fact that it's so long, like it one can only assume that it's going to be kind of bloated. I really want to read oh fuck, what's that one that's about Wittgenstein? The language games visual novel. Ah, fuck, it's the Subahibi. Subahibi. Yeah, I really want to read Subahibi. I didn't watch the new show. I was told to watch Yumi Neko, but that's a whole thing. Yeah, Subahibi's good. Subahibi seems so good. I love the music from the visual novel. Don't watch Yumi Neko. YouTube keeps tabs on bad think people. Most of my posts get shadow banned if I'm not really careful about what I say. Use Unicode. If you use like a Unicode font, you can get past censorship. I really love Chapter 3 of Subahibi, My Own Invention, Ultimate Denpa. Yeah, um, Denpa Denpa was explicitly talked about in the visual novel. I've seen like bits and pieces that have been shared there. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with YouTube censoring so much of the live chat. Like I hadn't streamed for a while and then I start streaming again and then like half of everybody's messages are not visible. It's weird. Subihibi had good plot things. I didn't vibe with it overall. It was solid in its themes and meta narrative. Yeah, I've heard a lot of people, mainly No Thank You, talk a lot about the philosophy of Subihibi. And Kryllo-Leninism? I have no idea what that is. That's a little esoteric for me. I want to play. YouTube removed my favorites playlist? That's crazy. 4K videos are gone. What? What is going on with YouTube? Unicode lets some posts pass, but not all. That, yeah, that sucks. Um, there was something I was gonna say earlier. I forgot what it was. I forgot the Denpa community adopted Subuhibi as their thing, LMAO. It's mostly no thank you. Um, I started calling this whole genre of video Denpa before I even really knew about Subihibi, and me and No also weren't talking at the time that I did that. I think that was during a period of time where we weren't really talking much, sometime in like 2019. And then that guy, Yoshika Miyako Red, otherwise known as Reimu on YouTube, he had his friend make this website, this YouTube alternative called DenpaTube. And then that guy couldn't afford to keep the website up. YouTube censors you even based on who you subscribe to. I already got on the bad list before starting to comment on this account. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with this website. I mean, it, I like that there's comparatively less moderation with YouTube than with other like mainstream social media sites. You compare like the moderation on YouTube to something like Twitter, and it's just night and day. Like Sticks Hammer, I think that's that like neo-Nazi vlogger metalhead guy. Like his channel is still around, and I feel like if he existed on just about any other platform, he'd be banned immediately. I mean, I'm still around, and I'm, pretty edgy. I'm not that edgy for internet standards, but I feel like if I said even half of the stuff I say on this channel on some other platform, I would be banned immediately. So I don't know. Ah, fuck. I think the English translation of Subihibi came out in 2017. 2017, then it was really soon after it came out. I see. I haven't read that many visual novels. I'm only just now getting into strategy games. After years of people telling me to get into strategy games, I only ever played Civ back in the day. I liked Civ and SimCity. And now I'm starting to get into Command and Conquer because it's like the only thing that runs on my laptop. Paradox question mark? Victoria 2 is good. It doesn't run on my laptop though, which fucking sucks. I think you'd like Factorio. I had to quit because it's too addictive. I think being addicted to a video game these days would probably be good for me. It would keep me from falling back into any of my other old addictions. I mean, the only thing um the only thing I'm consuming on a regular basis besides cigarettes is just caffeine, which, compared to what I used to do is a major step up, you know? I'm not literally doing heroin anymore, so I think that's an improvement. Um, someone delete someone made a message about that Styx X and Hammer guy. What makes you think Styx is a neo bad personist? Um, well, I mean, he uses like a lot of more obscure Nazi symbols in his videos, like ones that are designated by the Anti-Defamation League as hate symbols. He, you know, says some pretty explicitly authoritarian right-wing things on his channel as well. I think he tends to dog whistle at racism and just like engages in like outright homophobia and transphobia. I mean, all, uh, pretty telltale signs of like being a neo-Nazi. Um, but I don't know. I haven't watched that many of his videos. I've mostly seen him clipped in other places. Higurashi, though, honestly way better than Tsubihebe in my opinion. That's a hot take. I feel like that would be hotly contested amongst some people. Who knows? Sticks grifted on Trump hard. Yeah, yeah, he was really riding Trump's dick. Although like a lot of Nazis did that as well. So who knows? Um I think like I might start trying to do like amateur journalism again. Like I've written a couple things on this channel that were of that nature. And I wrote more stuff like that for the old Shonen Ronin channel back when I was a Marxist. And I'm not a Marxist now. I've kind of matured ideologically since then, but um, I nonetheless find myself with a lot of things to say that I don't see being said elsewhere. And so I think it would be fun and also useful for me to start writing stuff like that again. Yo, Tramp Stamp is in the chat. Hi. It's been so long, but I come back and you have a casino poster and blasting cigs. I've never been more proud. Yeah, thank you. It's great seeing you again. You kind of blipped off the face of the earth for a while there. Um, Styx claims to be a classical liberal seems consistent with his viewpoints, in my opinion. All Nazis call themselves classical liberals. Like, even, someone who's like a proto-fascist, like someone who's just kind of like vaguely like far right, like Sargon of Akkad calls himself a classical liberal. So I don't really take those folks seriously when they say that. Um, Lol, Shonen Ronin, that sure was an era. Yeah. Bro, you would make Hunter S. Thompson look like a bottom if you did journalism. I don't know about that. I am a huge fan of HST. I own most of his books, and he's been a huge influence on my writing. Um, I I don't know about that, but thank you. Um, there's a couple drug related things that I don't want to disclose that I'm writing right now. Um that because um if I said what they are, I won't finish them. But I have some works in progress. Those Most of those aren't really like political in nature. Like one of them is literally just going over studies I've read and like making a broader point out of that. It's more of like I guess a science video than a political video, but I won't say much more than that. Um, oh shit. I like Hunter, but his Nixon hate is unjust. Um, it would depend on which aspects of it. I think Nixon in many respects um was he was, how do I put this? Like he ended up doing a lot more things that were quote unquote left wing, at least in the modern interpretation of the word, than we would have expected, but that was mostly because he was pushed to do so by a Democratic Congress. Like when we look at what HST said about Nixon and what Nixon did, we have to look at those things within the context of the time. Um, Post World War II, and really prior to that, with FDR, there was a burgeoning consensus that dominated Washington, um, that really became like a hegemonic force in this country, that social democracy is the way we will go. And so when you saw, Nixon doing some pro-union things, reinstituting price controls on certain things, creating like the EPA, these were all ending the Vietnam War after having escalated it. These were all things that were probably not necessarily due to any ideologically held positions he has. They weren't necessarily consistent with quote unquote what he thinks. They were more a product of the material conditions of the country, the culture of the country, which, like I said, was influenced by this kind of hegemonically left-wing stance we were taking in the wake of FDR. Um, and so compared to Republicans nowadays, Nixon was a lot better. That's true. Um, but we have to remember that like before him, the guy who he served as vice president under, um, Eisenhower, we had like a 90% marginal tax rate, something that's unthinkable even for, a lot of mainstream Democrats now. Even the far left Democrats, that's unthinkable now. Um, and so it wasn't like Nixon was some kind of uniquely good figure. He was a very, very bad figure in most respects. He just happens to sound good within our very warped political consciousness we have today. Um, I think Short Fat Otaku has good content on the fascism question. I recommend that you watch. Sure, I don't know who that is. I'll check it out. If I remember. Also, Failed Experiment says hello, Osaka. Hello, welcome to the stream. Um, I really need to go to No Thank You's house. We've been talking about this for a while, um, but I've never managed to save up enough money to go do it because all of my savings are like dedicated towards getting a car. But after I get a car, I really want to start saving to go to No Thank You's house so he and I can do collaborative videos together because um, there's only so much you can say and do when you're in the same spot for as long as I have been in. Like when I moved to Wyoming to live with the uh, neo-Nazi anime YouTuber Karesu, I was making videos like left and right because I was having all of these new experiences that I had to analyze. I had all of these new stories to tell, and I was in a mindset where I was a lot more creatively stimulated because of those new experiences, and it also helped to have someone who liked the work I was doing actively encourage me, like in person. And so a lot of old stories that ended up coming to be in the prior year finally came out in a scripted or unscripted form because I was creatively stimulated enough to do that. Um, and I think if I went and stayed with someone else on the platform again in another place with all of these new, different things to do, things to see, I believe I would enter a mindset like that again. And it seems like nowadays, the thing that keeps my head in the game the most, by far, is new experiences, being in new places. It's like it's like a switch goes off in my head almost. Being surrounded by things that compel me to think, it's like it's like gears start turning. I become like a well-oiled machine. But when I'm just hanging out in my room, even when I'm not hanging out in my room, when I'm like spending a decent amount of time outside, before I moved to Wyoming, I was like doing cardio every day for about a month, and so I was going outside quite a lot. Uh, it was the same outside that, I had been seeing for like the last 4 years, so it wasn't anything new. It wasn't anything exciting. There's only so much a person can say about going crazy in their room all the time until it gets redundant, until it gets derivative. Now, when I get better at playing guitar, I'm gonna start playing guitar on these live streams. I think that would be pretty keyno. Where the fuck? Oh yeah. I don't know how is everybody doing today? I feel like the majority of the comments I'm probably getting on the stream have been like shadow banned. Whoa, guitar stream? Yeah, that would be really fun. I wrote I wrote a song today. I'm not gonna share it with the stream, but I wrote a song that I shared with a couple friends of mine, and they thought was pretty good. So who knows? I might make like an acoustic folk album at some point. I think that would be pretty cool. Um, I don't know how to play like particularly complex chords or anything, but all you really need are the simple chords if you have a good story to tell. And the simple chords often sound the best to me. Like I like power chords a lot. So I don't know. Who knows? I mean, who knows what could happen? I'm definitely a lot more interested in mediums that like aren't YouTube right now, because I don't even really watch YouTube. Like I watch my friends' videos sometimes, but for the last like 2 years, almost 3 years, I like barely watch YouTube. So, like like next video I make, I want to do some like weird Magos type shit. Do you guys remember this channel Magos Sigma? He was like this Warhammer 40K or ostensibly Warhammer 40K channel that ended up doing like all of this weird like lore character pseudo horror type shit. I don't remember Magos says drunk, sure. Um like I want to try to incorporate aspects of what he was doing on YouTube into aspects of what I'm doing, not like one to one per se, um just put more effort into whatever the next video is. And at the same time, I want to try to do more of those like analysis videos. What do you do when you're not watching YouTube? Um, I like to, oh fuck. I like to read. So, I read books, I write, I listen to music, I play video games. Um, I'm not doing cardio as anywhere near as much as I used to. I need to start doing that again, but I was doing cardio. Um, I don't know. I spend a lot of time thinking. You're a Renaissance man. I want you to write, direct, produce music, be a caricature of yourself, and have an OF. Um, does OF stand for something I'm not aware of? Thank you. I don't know. I don't know. How oriented I am towards like directing something. I've written screenplays before for like short films, but I never just did the fucking Quentin Tarantino thing and like ran outside and filmed it. Um, so who knows? Maybe I'll get some friends together and actualize something like that at some point. But I'm definitely going to explore making music more. Like music is something I'm really, really passionate about right now. Like most of my day, I just spend listening to music, playing music, or thinking about music. I'm thinking about music all the time now. Um, And I was writing poetry like a fuck ton for the year of 2021. I was writing poetry all the time. And like the skills that I ended up accruing through writing poetry, I am beginning to apply to songwriting. And and so it's pretty likely that you'll see something come out of that. I don't know why I didn't just pick up an instrument. I thought like if I'm gonna be like a weird bedroom guy, I have to rap, right? Because that's what Digibro did. That's what the Endless Jest did and all these other folks. I thought that was the way to go. But it turned out that playing an instrument isn't actually that hard. Like I started with the piano, and I was terrified of doing that. But my ex Starman, when we were staying with each other, he taught me how to play the piano. And once I realized that the piano is literally just the alphabet and about the positioning of your hands, um, it became so easy for me to do. I was like shocked by it. And then when I was in the mental hospital, at the very beginning of this year, they had this music therapy. So these two musicians came in and with these instruments, and they were like, "Yeah, we can play some music for you, and you can even play music yourself." And I said the song that I wanted to hear played, and I ended up playing it on the piano, which was "Lost Verses" by Sun Kill Moon. Now I don't know how many of you are aware of this song, but it's like a 9-minute epic of a song. And I was taught how to play that on the piano. And like that was by far one of the most euphoric moments of my life was playing that on the piano. I even improvised a little bit with the rhythm of the song, and like I impressed myself through doing that. And then I realized like, holy fuck, I have to play music. I have to play music. Um, and now that's what I want to do. I need to improve my singing though, like which is just something that's going to come with time. Like I am definitely not a good singer right now, but that's just something that's going to come with time. Ow. Otaku haiku, yeah. Too late for a rap career. You should have made a SoundCloud profile in 2015. Um, no. I don't know. I like listening to rap a lot. Um, I remember when he was part of Drain Gang. Yeah, I'm Blady. I'm Blady now. Sorry to break it to you. I was actually born in Sweden. Yeah, like I I I just I can't get into to trying to produce any kind of hip hop, even though I really like rap as a, a genre, and all of like the various subgenres that come with it. Well, maybe not all of them, but I listen to a lot of that. But I don't know. It doesn't gel with me. I'm white. I'm literally too white to do that kind of music. I'm much more interested in making like folk. Yeah. Music is so cool. Like I don't know if there actually is something more powerful than playing music. I can't think of anything more powerful than that. I just recently got into that shit. Swedish dudes who speak English as a second language dabbing on native English rap lyrics. 100%. 100%. It's crazy, but I think it kind of speaks to just how well Scandinavians speak English. I feel like that's probably a component to it besides just like talent. I listened to the new Blady, to the new album that he did, and I was kind of disappointed by it. The production on it was really strong, but it didn't feel anywhere near as inventive as the that like that album with the house on it. I forget what it was called. Is the album that he did with Echo 2K where the fucking colored house that looks like a kindergarten drawing. I liked that one a lot, and I liked 333. 333 was like some revolutionary shit. But ever since Best Blady album TBH, oh Crest, yeah, that was the one I was talking about. I don't think Ever Since is the best one at all. Um, I think it's probably 333. Um, that's usually what I say. Yeah. Um, I don't know what's Young Lean doing these days. I don't think Young Lean has done anything in a while, right? Is there another mouse in my room? I heard something moving over there. It better not be another fucking mouse. I don't know. I've been reading this Philip K. Dick novel, Flow My Tears, the Policeman Said, and it's kind of been changing my life. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. Philip K. Dick's books usually do this to me. Um, every time I read one, I get kind of astounded, and then I have all these philosophical and psychological concepts I'm thinking about for like weeks after I read the book. But I'm Norwegian, and I often come across Americans who are worse at English than I am. Yeah, it 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 happens. The amount of illiteracy in America is fucking insane. Um, there, I've never read Dick, but it is evident he was on. But is it evident that he was on an amphetamines in his writing? Um, I don't think it is. No, like at least whenever I've been on amphetamines and I've tried to write, there's this incredibly chaotic nature to it, uh, where some of the normal conventions of writing just go out the window. And maybe it's because I'm not that talented of a writer, but for me, reading PKD comes off a lot more like someone who's inspired by amphetamines, like especially like amphetamine psychosis. Like A Scanner Darkly, for example, has uh like this narrative that's so mired in the twists and turns that come with questioning your own reality and the various delusions therein. And it really does read like a train that's gone off the tracks. Like I think more than any book, perhaps, that book captures the feeling of a psychotic break. And I feel like a lot of postmodern fiction that ended up springing up inspired by him reads like that, but I would have never guessed. Well, I mean that book was actually written while he was sober. I should clarify. But the books that he wrote while he was on them, I didn't get that vibe. Um, However, like there is a drop in quality, I think, which was kind of what I was alluding to with my own experiences writing that way. There's a drop in quality. Um, you can really excavate shit when you're in that state, as you said, a type of psychosis. Oh yeah, 100%. Um, but uh, I don't think it's evident. No, I guess that's what I was trying to say. Um, I kind of want to pull out this book and read this segment that I've just been stuck on. Like this segment where the main character is talking about love with this old love interest of his who doesn't know he's him. He's lost his identity. I I don't know how many of you care about spoilers because it's like in the mid section of the book. I kind of just want to read that section um and talk about it because it kind of blew my mind. Um, but I'm gonna have to get approval from the chat, like thumbs up or thumbs down or something, as I have the book right over there. It's Flow My Tears, the Policeman Said, about um, a world where the United States has undergone a revolution that has, for sure. Okay, that's one vote yes from Tramstamp. That's about okay, two votes. That's really all I need. Um, yeah, let me just fucking grab this over here. Uh, so this book is about a hypothetical United States where a like super racist eugenicist government has taken over, and it's like 1984 on steroids. The world that they're in, like there's surveillance everywhere, um, and people people are kind of just super fucked. But the main character loses his identity. So like the clock has been turned back and he's trying to get it again, but he's in a pinch because no one knows who he is. He was like a really famous um, he was a really famous person on television prior to that. Let me try and find where the specific section I want to read is at. It's when he's in Ruth's apartment. Uh, I should have like just bookmarked this specific section. What's the chat saying? Just do a hand sign when you're done or something? Okay, okay, I can do that. Did you know that the Nazis were largely inspired by earlier American ideology? I did. The whole idea of eugenics that like Hitler was really impressed by uh, originated from his fascination with the American prison system. What's the name of the book? Flow My Tears, the Policeman Said. Um, let's see here. I'm trying to find like the exact part where I should start. Um, do, do, do. Okay, so the context here is that she was talking about a friend whose uh, whose animals died, and she's kind of like grieving over it. The main character is Jason, the one whose identity is lost. I thought you didn't like animals, Jason said. Not anymore, not after so many defeats and wipeouts like the rabbit. He eventually, of course, died. Emily Fusselman cried for days, a week. I could see what it had done to her, and I didn't want to get involved. But stopping loving animals entirely so that their lives are so short, just so fucking goddamn short. Okay, some people lose a creature they love, and then they go on and transfer that love to another one, but it hurts. It hurts. Then why is love so good? He brooded about that, in and out of his own relationships, all his long adult life. He brooded about it acutely now, through what had recently happened to him, up to Emily Fusselman's rabbit, this moment of painfulness. You love someone and then they leave. They come home one day and they start packing their things, and you say, "What's happening?" And they say, "I got a better offer somewhere else," and then they go out of your life forever. And after that, until you're dead, you're carrying around this huge hunk of love with no one to give it to. And if you do find someone to give it to, the same thing happens all over. Or you call them up on the phone one day and say, "This is Jason," and they say, "Who?" And then you know you've had it. They don't know who the hell you are. So I guess they never did know. You never had them in the first place. Ruth said, "Love isn't just wanting another person the way you want to own an object you see in a store. That's just desire. You want to have it around, take it home, and set it up somewhere in the apartment like a lamp. Love is." She paused, reflecting, like a father saving his children from a burning house, getting them out and dying himself. When you love, you cease to live for yourself. You live for another person. And that's good. It did not sound so good to him. It overcomes instinct. Instincts push us into fighting for survival, like the poles ringing all the campuses. Poles are the police in this story. Survival of ourselves at the expense of others. Each of us claws his way up. I can give you a good example. My 21st husband, Frank, we were married for 6 months. During that time, he stopped loving me and became horribly unhappy. I still loved him. I wanted to remain with him, but it was hurting him, so I let him go. You see? It was better for him, and because I loved him, that's what counted. See? Jason said, but why is it good to go against the instinct for self-survival? You don't think I can say? No, he said, because the instinct for survival loses in the end. With every living creature, mole, bat, human, frog, even frogs who smoke cigars and play chess, you can never accomplish what your survival instinct sets out to do. So ultimately, your striving ends in failure and you succumb to death, and that ends it. But if you love, you can fade out and watch. I'm not ready to fade out, Jason said. And you can fade out and watch with happiness and with cool, mellow, alpha contentment, the highest form of contentment, the living on of one of those you love. But they die too. True, Ruth Ray chewed on her lip. It's better not to love so that that never happens to you. Even a pet, a dog or a cat, as you pointed out, you love them and they perish. If the death of a rabbit is bad, he had then a glimpse of horror, the crushed bones and hair of a girl, held and leaking blood, in the jaws of a dimly seen enemy outlooming any dog. But you can grieve, Ruth said, anxiously studying his face. Jason, grief is the most powerful emotion a man or child or animal can feel. It's a good feeling. In what fucking way? He said harshly. Grief causes you to leave yourself. You step outside your narrow little pelt, and you can't feel grief unless you've loved before it. Grief is the final outcome of love because it's love lost. You do understand. I know you do, but you just don't want to think about it. It's the cycle of love completed. To love, to lose, to feel grief, to leave, and then to love again. Jason, grief is the awareness that you will have to be alone, and there is nothing beyond that, because being alone is the ultimate final destiny of every individual living creature. That's what death is, the great loneliness. I remember once when I first smoked pot from a water pipe rather than a joint. The smoke, was cool, and I didn't realize how much I had inhaled. All of the sudden, I died. For a little instant, but several seconds long. The world, every sensation, including even the awareness of my own body, of even having a body, faded out, and it didn't like leave me in isolation in the unusual sense, because when you're alone in the usual way, in the usual sense, you still have sense data coming in, even if it's only from your own body. But even the darkness went away. Everything just ceased. Silence, nothing, alone. um yeah, that was they go on a little bit more for longer there, but I don't think I need to read the rest of the passage in order to analyze it. Um, Dick spitting facts, 100%. Yeah, like um, like that kind of changed the entire way that I view love and romance. Because prior to reading that, I had seen, I think, love in an incredibly possessive way. I had seen the people who had entered my life to form relationships with me in a similar manner to Jason in that passage there, as objects, as Ruth pointed out, as things that you would get at a store. That's not love. That's mere desire. And having seen grief uh, explained in that way, it like I started crying reading that. Like it was I didn't realize that all of those times I had longed for those individuals to come back in my life was was actually the culmination of a quite beautiful process. And it made me think about this Tim Rogers review of Tokimeki Memorial, which is a Japanese dating sim. It's like a 6 hour video. There's this section, late into the video where he's talking about this idea that there are so many different forms of love that we will never experience because every individual that we encounter, that we fall in love with and eventually fall out of love with or lose, um, is bringing to the table something wholly human that only they can bring. And that each love we experience is wholly different as a result of that. And that process is like the integral part of that process is loss, is this humanity. And I after I read that, I was thinking about that Tim Rogers video, and I was thinking about my own relationships, and I just had to think like I've been thinking about this all wrong for so long now. Um, that what I should have been embracing is is loss and the individuality of each love that I get to experience, like it's a privilege to be able to see the deeper sides of so many different people as they come and go. Um, and there's something kind of beautiful about the fact that you'll never be able to experience all the loves that you can, all the loves that exist for you. Um, it's that I don't know. I've been thinking about that for a while. Let me see here. By the way, people who care about spoilers annoy me. The most important part of fiction is not exposition, it's mood and atmosphere that counts, baby. 100%, yeah. Like, one of the first things that you learn in writing class, and they drill this into your head, is that fiction is about the how, not the what. And I kind of apply this to like all of the media I consume. I don't care if people spoil it for me because the thing that's going to evoke the most response from me and also compel me to think for the longest is going to be how a message was conveyed, how the events in the story were conveyed, um, not what was actually conveyed. Also, here's a hand signal. I completely forgot to do that for YouTube DL account, so here you go. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Lots of stuff to think about. I don't know. I might start reading the Bible on stream one day. One day I might start doing Bible streams because that's the other thing I've been doing is reading the Bible a lot. I'm really appreciative you read that part because I also prematurely grieve for my partners even if they haven't left. It's like pre-mourning out of self-awareness for non-permanence. Yeah, like I've done that in every relationship I've been in, like so anxiously preoccupied with the fact that what I'm experiencing is transient. But it turns out that the transient isn't just an integral process of what it is to love. It's also beautiful. Um, but yeah, just aside from that part, I heavily recommend that book. That book, like all of PKD's work, that book explores so many different concepts and it elucidates them just so cathartically. Like it's wonderful. He is probably my favorite author now. You know, my favorite author used to be Bukowski. I think it's Philip K. Dick. I think I've confirmed that Philip K. Dick is my favorite author. Um, so, uh, developments. Have you peeped any of his movie adaptations? Any worthy ones in your eyes? I mean, Blade Runner is really good, but it's really nothing like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Like they're not really similar at all. I think Blade Runner 2049 is a lot more similar to the book that it's actually based off of. And I loved that movie. That's kind of a controversial take. A lot of people really did not like 2049. Um, A Scanner Darkly, the Linklater film, I did not like the one with Keanu Reeves. I thought like that's only a story that can be told in the form of a book, I think. I did not think that translated well to film at all. A lot of people say it's a good movie. I think it's kind of weird that Linklater was trying to adapt a Philip K. Dick novel. Like that's just kind of weird. Um, uh, Linklater is too normy for Dick. 100%, 100%. Um, I mean, I thought Boyhood was a really good movie, but that is not that's not the director you want for dude directed movies about getting girls in high school. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, I do not think that was the director that was suited for the task. Um, I'm trying to, I don't think I've seen the other movies that are adapted after his books, at least not that I remember. Hopefully that answer was sufficient. The book title is way more interesting than the movie. Do androids dream of electric sheep? Um, yeah, like I wish they kept with that title, but it also kind of makes sense that they called it Blade Runner because the first movie, focusing on Decker and whatnot, um, like the main connection it has with the novel is just that it's about a Blade Runner that has the same name of the guy in the story. Like, that's the main connection. Like, it deviates so much from the source material that I feel like the two can't really be compared with each other. Ridley Scott just kind of did whatever he wanted with that movie. I watched the final cut. I watched Blade Runner, the final cut recently. That is by far the best way to watch that movie, though. Still nothing like the book, but that's a really good movie. And like it kind of blew me away because every other edit of the film I saw, like they're they're just not anywhere near as good. Is the book more about the droids trying to surpass their 4 years? Yeah, there's a lot of elements of the story that just don't get addressed in much depth in the film. Like they get kind of referenced. It explores the world a lot more. It explores like what the fuck a Blade Runner is a lot more, um, and the androids themselves. How to heal Zoomer attention span and acquire ability to read books? Just do it. Like the by far, the most helpful thing you can do is find content that you enjoy reading, which is going to be hard. Like okay, school, I feel like school has fucked up reading for so many people because people have it in their head that in order to get a good grade, they have to read shit that they don't like all the way through. This is utter nonsense. Like, if reading is for pleasure, the moment that you dislike a book, put it down. That's the only logical response. It's just to put it the fuck down and then go to something else that interests you more, and then maybe you'll finish that one. Um, but like life is way too short to be reading crap. Um, if it doesn't spark joy, just put it down. Um, Also, uh, what you're going to want to do is build up a habit of reading a little bit every day, but you have to do it every day. So even if you just read one chapter or like even just 10 pages, even 5 pages per day, the longer you build up that habit, the more you will be able to read in a day. So just keep doing it, and eventually you'll be able to focus on the content much more easily. Also, if you're reading something nonfiction, look at the index. You don't have to read an entire nonfiction book. Look at the index, try to find the information that's most relevant to you. Um, As far as good recommendations, the 4chan Lit board has these charts that go by genre, and also like what's voted to be the most popular on the board. I would just look up 4chan Lit chart and go through all of the charts, look up synopsises for books that get recommended in those charts, and you know, skim through some of them, see if you like them, and then try to read those. If you end up not liking them, go to something else. Um, Lit is a really good resource for finding good books. A lot of the books I found directly from there. I'm trying to think of other stuff. Good advice, thank you. I'm trying to think of other stuff that might be able to help. Um, yeah, if I think of something else, I'll let you know. I don't know. Take caffeine pills. Don't take a huge amount. Take like one. What nonfiction do you usually read for pleasure? Usually stuff about history. Um, I like I like to I like to read like stuff about dictators, so like biographies of dictators and um, general history stuff. I read some philosophy, not much, because most philosophers don't write very well. I like Nietzsche a lot. Nietzsche writes very well. Um, I like Foucault, and some like situationist anarchist stuff like The Invisible Committee. Trying to think. I've read a lot of books about drugs, so books that have to do with the politics or history or socioeconomics or just sociology of drugs. Uh, I've read a lot of books about the chemistry um, involved with drugs. Really, any book about drug, even if it's a bad book. Like, I read this book, Cocaine, the Great White Plague, which was this prohibitionist uh, kind of thing that was written in the 80s in the height of the quote unquote crack epidemic, even though I don't like calling it that. Um, and there was some science in that book that, based on some of the studies I've read, I did not I did not agree with, but it was interesting to read nonetheless. So yeah, really anything about drugs I'll read. I don't think visiting 4chan is such a good idea for fixing Zoomer attention span. Otherwise, good advice. Well, I didn't say to visit 4chan. I said to go to a website that aggregates all of the charts. I think 4chan is partially responsible for my deteriorated brain. Depending on how young you were when you started going on there, that could definitely be true. What's popping? I ain't watched your stuff in a minute, bruh. I've been in college. Sorry, I'm high. Um, well, I hope you're enjoying yourself. Um, yeah, no need to apologize for that. Uh, and no need to apologize for not being around. I mean, I'm just a YouTube channel. But yeah, it's nice to see you here. It is a good resource though. I've learned tons of tech stuff from there. Yeah, thanks CIA. Uh, yeah, tech, the fucking G has good resources as well. I don't know why I'm looking at you ominously as I say that. It's my favorite Mongolian throat singing board. Dude weed. Um, yeah, I don't know. I want to write a book. I think I think I need to write like a compilation of short stories. I've been writing some fiction in private, but I'm always very critical of my fiction because it's much harder for me to write from the perspective of events that are entirely fictitious, um, rather than like my own perspective in events that literally happened. It's a huge challenge for me. Join my Discord server, fellow 4chaners. Let's talk about far right politics. If I were on Discord, I might, just to debate every person in the server, because I am a cringe anarchist. I hate to break it to you. Speaking of cringe anarchists, I really do need to do that chill out Sisha sesh with no thank you IRL. That's I need to build towards that. After I get my car, I need to build towards that. Don't debate no again. You guys just have bro moments and mostly agree. Haha. Yeah, no, 100%. Like there's there's very few things that we strongly disagree with each other on, and even when we start getting into the nitty-gritty of those topics, it always devolves into us just kind of being amicable and chilling out. Um, I love that guy. He's my best friend, but not great for adversarial content. I might debate Tarbuck Transom. There might be a live stream on this channel where me and No 2v1 Tarbuck in a debate. I think that could be interesting. I've talked with him privately after that live stream, and I ended up uh, being able to explain a lot of Tarbuck's perspectives for him in a way that made way more sense than whatever the fuck he was saying on that live stream. So I've helped him a little bit, and even ended up finding myself agree with uh, some of some of what he said in that stream. So who knows? Cringe anarchism is the most logical in-game anarcho-cringism. Nice. Which side of the political spectrum would you find yourself most in opposition to their takes in a debate? Definitely like a fascist, like some kind of far-right authoritarian guy. I think I would disagree with the most. You know, right-wing libertarians, I actually agree with like way more. Like people, a lot of my other anarchist friends who are like anarcho-syndicalists, which is, if I wanted to like actually label myself, I think I'm pretty comfortable saying I'm an anarcho-syndicalist. Um, some of my friends who have that same ideology uh, tend to get pretty mad at me because they say I sound like a right-wing libertarian with a lot of the stuff I say. But really, I think it's just consistent with the ideology. So I agree with those guys a surprising amount if we just sit down and talk to each other. But there's very little I will agree with a fascist on. Do you still say the N word? Yes, I do. Um, I don't say it a whole lot, but white people need to start reclaiming the word for everyone, so the word doesn't have as much power. If we can remove the power that word has, I feel like a disproportionate amount of harm to the world could just be excised in a moment. I don't think segregating and gatekeeping the English language is doing the black community any good. I think it's only holding up the power and status that word has. So yes, I do use it. I use it sparingly though. Thoughts on Sam Hyde? He's funny. I'm a huge fan of World Peace. That's one of my favorite TV shows and probably pieces of art ever made. Um, I like a lot of his internet skits as well. Sam Hyde's great. One of my favorite comedians. He doesn't say the C word. That's correct. Although you saying that in the chat, most people won't know what C word you're talking about. But if everyone started spamming it and people saw me not saying it, they would know which one that you're talking about. I don't use the anime C word, I'll put it like that. People who are brain dead uh, by TikTok and the internet enough will know what I'm talking about. The anime C word I do not say. I refuse to have a clip of me saying that exist. Uh, it's kind of surreal. He is now being introduced to a newer generation as a YouTube boxer. Yeah, that's insane. He's like challenging larger figures to box them and shit. I think it's kind of an interesting evolution, but it also makes sense because Sam Hyde has always evolved with the internet as it's changed, but in unique and creative ways every single time. It's really quite impressive. I think it speaks to his creative genius. I don't know what word you're talking about. Hopefully, that is a good thing. That is a good thing. I don't like the fact that I know the word, but so many people on this YouTube thing have said it, and so unfortunately, I've been infected with the mind parasite. Um, you did this to me. The anime C word. I don't know. I feel like there are certain like figures who have been on the internet for a long time who they just evolve as the internet evolves, and it's kind of crazy because I feel like that's not really a normal thing. Like for the most part, people come around when the internet is a certain way, and and then they disappear because the times have changed, but they haven't. But there are some people out there who just know how to adapt in a way that helps them like continue building their base. I'm always really fascinated by that. Um, I feel like I could make more mainstream content if I wanted to, but my executive function problems always stand in the way. Like, I feel like some people who watch my shit, they're really impressed by me for being able to, like, read books, for example, but I only read books because I'm really passionate about what I'm reading. In my daily life and in general, I struggle a lot with executive functioning. Um, Motivation is something that for my whole life I've been terrible at holding on to. So I might get really motivated in an instant and then it just disappears. And doing anything that is not like one to one directly correlated to some kind of immediate enjoyment, I suck at. Like I'm just fucked. Which is how a lot of people are, but I like it's particularly bad in my case because I'm autistic, and so as an autistic person, my interests are very, very specialized, and when things are not related to those special interests, I just don't give a shit. Um, so a part of me wants to make more mainstream videos so I can cultivate a larger audience and potentially make some more money off this thing, introduce ideas that I want more of the world to see uh, to them. But I end up just like laying in bed and laying in bed. The demographic you will attain won't be worth it. That's true. Don't fall for the psyop. The audience you attract now is so delicate and methodical. That is true. Like the schizos, the kind of schizos that I've cultivated here, uh, I appreciate a lot, and it all feels like we're part of kind of a secret club. Like this isn't something that most people would find, and so it like I can have a much more intimate relationship to the conversation and the discussion that ends up springing about on my videos or during these streams because it it's just some of us, and that allows me to um, have a lot more viewer engagement and a deeper form of viewer engagement as well. And I like that a lot. Like I don't want to lose that. Um, And so I've been trying to theorize how exactly can I balance the two? How can I have videos that are successful and then also do this? Like, I want to have them both simultaneously. Use my channel, for example. You are pigeonholed to be one thing based on what has the most engagement, then you pander to it. Yeah, like, I really, really don't want to pander. Like, I want to have some videos that organically do quite well, and then I want to have this schizo shit at the same time. Um, but I found YouTube promote more of my videos in the algorithm lately. How do you feel about normies watching your videos? Um, I would hope they become less normie as a result of watching them, like maybe question some things about their ideology and develop as a person. Um, what was I saying? Uh, but I don't think you have to worry because you have integrity not to pander. Yeah, I would never pander to an audience. If if I think something, you're gonna hear what I think. You're not going to hear a watered down version to the point where like it's at my detriment. Like I was in a call with No the other day, and No Thank You said, one of my biggest problems is that I don't know how to dog whistle. I just whistle. Um, and I thought that was just like a funny joke for a moment, but I thought about it more deeply, and I think he's absolutely right. Like I just do not know how to keep my mouth shut, and so I end up alienating a lot of people because of that. But where I differ from him on this is I think that's actually a good thing. Like, there have been so many times when I've been very honest about like negative aspects of myself, for example, where he's gone, bro, this is gonna alienate people. Like, this is gonna, like, this is bad PR. That's a thing he loves to say. This is bad PR. Uh, and I'll just go, well, my channel is about being honest. Like if it alienates some people, fuck them. Like they, you know, I don't want to have those people around. If they can't handle it, if they can't take it, they can fuck off. You know. Um, can I ask how you have the confidence not to bow down? Because usually some people who are autistic can't do it with confidence. I I think it's really especially IRL. I mean, um, I think I used to be someone who bowed down a lot, especially in real life. Online, not so much. And the reason for why on the internet is, I think, is quite simple. There's no consequences on the internet. On the internet, you can be whoever you want, and the only thing you really have to worry about are negative comments from people. As as long as there's no direct threat to your life or safety, you have nothing to worry about. Like, what is it actually going to do to me to have a bunch of people dislike me? Nothing. They're just amorphous creatures in the wired, you know, like strings of ones and zeros, uh, abstract concepts that have no immediate relevance to me. In real life, it's a little bit more tricky because to see people the way I just described, it requires a degree of dehumanization, which I think is unnatural for humans to engage in. But as time has gone on and I've met more and more negative people, I've found the the best option and also the easiest option is the one that seems the hardest at first, which is to just say what you think in a manner that is so blunt that those people are kicked to the curb immediately. Like if you open with your harshest take, it's like a pleb filter. It's like automatic gatekeeping because you'll know who's a real one and who's not. And so what you're doing is actually is quality control. You're filtering out the people who you wouldn't actually enjoy talking to that much by doing that. And so that's the way I see it. I see being confident about one's own beliefs and self as a pleb filter, and that just benefits me. Like, it's in my self-interest. It's in my self-interest to be honest. Big agree about the dehumanization thing. I've seen too many people use that method to increase their own self-worth. Yeah, I don't think that's good. Um, how do you feel about being watched by normies not engaging with your content, but watching for academic interest of this niche lifestyle? I think that's great. I think people who are more academically or analytically minded should be seeking out the perspectives of people who they are very unlikely to engage with otherwise or just see, uh, because even if it doesn't change who they are, like if they don't become, I don't know, more libertarian or schizo or whatever, uh, it's nonetheless good for cultivating a broader understanding of like humans and the variations in human life. And this, I think this is a net positive for the world because it increases like societal empathy. It makes it to where um, perhaps if they do encounter someone akin to myself, they won't meet them immediately with revulsion. They'll take a moment to think about the things I've explained and articulated, and then show a little bit more empathy to that person. Realize that weirdos are your neighbors. Normies literally live vicariously through Osaka, seething at the freedom he has. Um, I, as egocentric as it might sound, I kind of agree, at least for certain people. Um, I like it's a little conceited to say, but I definitely think there are some people out there who I'm one of them. I see. Um, I think you're definitely less of an NPC than a lot of people though. Rent free. Uh, like for for the NPCs that hypothetically live vicariously through me, hopefully one day I can inspire you to be less NPC. That's all I can say. Cultivating a broader understanding of humans increases social empathy. That's perfect. You're actually rather wise and based. You live on the edge of human experience, and I'm so glad you share it. Thank you. Um, that means a lot to me. Yeah, I think empathy is incredibly important. I couldn't have conversations with most people like you are having. Seems people don't think this deep, or if you try, they give you weird judgment, it seems. Yeah, there seems to be like society enforces not thinking. Like if you try to have an in-depth conversation with a lot of people, like it I don't know where this began, but there's this intuitive response that what you're doing is like an antisocial behavior. And all of human behavior, I think, is basically a reciprocal relationship. So as we grow up, we're taught to intuitively see certain things as antisocial behavior and others as pro-social behavior. And so when someone engages in an antisocial behavior, it begets the same. It warrants that response in the mind of the person who is on the receiving end of it. And so for whatever reason, and there's not really a like a lot of explanations about this that I've seen, talking very analytically about topics of this nature is intuitively seen as antisocial. And and so the kind of revulsion you're met with is a reciprocal one. It's reciprocity. Um, and I don't think that's good. I think we need to be changing the attitudes surrounding that. This also gets into the topic of addiction as well. Like the reason why for so long addicts have been vilified by society and treated as moral failures is because we've, due to decades of drug war propaganda, um, been taught to intuitively see the person engaging in some form of substance use as antisocial, as criminal, and therefore it begets the same in response for someone to respond in kind. Now, attitudes about this are changing steadily over time, but that's a major hurdle in how we think about addicts that I think is only increasing criminality amongst that population who is afflicted by this problem, and compelling them to use more as well because they're isolated by society. And what happens when people are isolated? Well, they they fall into these sorts of coping mechanisms, which again only furthers the problem at hand. uh, do you think society shows more contempt for outsiders now than in the past? No, I don't think so. If you know too much about a subject matter, that is seen as a negative thing. Talk about Netflix instead. Yeah, I think it's been that way for a long time. It's just that, the Netflix of yesterday uh, was something else. Before Netflix, there was Netflix. I love movies and YouTube videos about heroin addicts. Yeah, me too. Although I feel like a lot of films about the subject do kind of a, a poor job at explaining what it's actually like. Like one of the movies I hate the most is Requiem for a Dream, because I don't think I've seen a more overtly unscientific portrayal of drugs just to like evoke the feeling of tragedy. It's like such a blatantly dishonest movie. It's insane. Train Spotting is a better movie than Requiem for a Dream. I feel like post 2019, and many others could later be considered historically as a movement for a type of documenting antisocial artists. Many people since have been emulating it. Yeah, it's surprising how many people have jumped onto this whole Denpa thing. Like, it's a surprising amount of people. Um, I think me and No both need to start reinventing ourselves a bit more, because the format of the vlog has been done over so many times in this kind of schizo way that we've been doing it. I think something needs to be changed up. I was talking at the beginning of the stream that I need to experiment more. Sounds like your cat is going to town your couch. It is what it is. LMAO, director of Requiem, was like, Jared Leto, don't have sugar, and you will know that it's what it's like to quit heroin. Yeah, yeah, that guy's really fucking cringe. Um, what's your thoughts on Donnie Darko? I don't have any thoughts. I have no thoughts. Um, uh, couch mogged. Um, yeah, like, oh, don't mess with my phone, mister. Do you ever have those days when you go back and forth and couldn't decide what you want to do professionally? Oh, absolutely. Like, um, my executive functioning issues and my depression are like they make it really really difficult to commit to uh, going to college for anything, or holding down a job or anything like that. Like, I worked as a housekeeper at a hotel for like 2 months, and by the very end of it, for like 3 weeks, um, I was using methamphetamine almost every single day just to be able to uh, be motivated and have the energy to do the work that I was doing. Otherwise, like, I wouldn't have been able to get out of bed. I was so depressed. It was a miracle that I was able to do that job for as long as I did sober. And then, I was taking benzodiazepines every single day just to sleep, because I didn't want to come into work with multiple hours or multiple days without sleep because of the existing insomnia I have and the methamphetamine use. So I was taking these two things every single day just to work my job, because otherwise I was just so depressed that I thought I was going to kill myself having to work that job. And so by the end of it, I was leaning on this substance abuse. It was really bad. Um, the worst neat streamer was that Hoppa dude who was your friend Red or something. Yeah, Raymo. I'm so glad you said that about Requiem for a Dream. I always felt the same. It's super cringe and inauthentic. Train Spotting was great, and Heaven Knows What is extremely gritty and authentic. Um, I haven't seen Heaven Knows What. How do I learn such deeper things about humanity and the world and the realities of the human mind without wanting to kill myself? Um, I think exposure over time helps. Um, Exposure over time helps, and the less you run away from a thing, the easier it's going to be to deal with. So just keep on trucking is the most simple advice one could give. Meth is a crazy drug, has a pretty stupid stigma though. Yeah, I found that oral dosages that were about on par with traditional amphetamine, like in the form of Adderall, the effects that I experienced were uh, about identical. Like, I think the reputation it has is largely due to uh, the socioeconomics of the drug, like the distribution patterns, the form that it comes in, and the type of people who tend to use it. Like a college kid or an academic taking Adderall in the form of a pill that was, measured out by a doctor, um, is going to have an experience that bears out much differently from someone who is smoking hundreds of milligrams through a pipe. Uh, the onset alone is going to be much faster, and the experience is going to be much more short-lived, resulting in a harder crash than if one were to take the exact same drug uh, in an oral form with a measured dose of, say, 20 or 30 milligrams. Um, a lot of people don't know this, that methamphetamine is actually a prescription medication in the United States. It's called Digoxin, which is approved by the FDA to be used in children as young as 6 years old. And the prescribed dosage can even go up to as high as 60 milligrams. Um, it Most people don't even know that. Like most people only know about it from its reputation as this crystal that gets smoked in huge amounts, um, which is not really an accurate portrayal of the drug in its totality. Um, Using it that way is incredibly dangerous and irresponsible, but that's only one side of the story. I just don't like the shadow people. Yeah, don't stay awake forever on it. Use like landing gear. Like if you gotta sleep, sleep is very important, and you have to eat. Uh, do you prefer not to talk about Ramo? I just don't think there's much to say about him. Like, um, you know, he doesn't like me very much. I don't really watch his videos, so there's not a lot that I can say about him. A lot of his videos are focused on drama and community stuff, things that I just don't find particularly interesting. But it's just my opinion. Like, um, I'm not gonna sit here and bully or clown on the guy because it seems like he has enough going on in his life already. Like, why kick a man while he's down? He's done that to me, but that doesn't give me the right to do that to him. Two rights do not make, or two wrongs do not make a right. I would rather not sit here and bully the guy. Thoughts on anhedonia? Uh, I've had it. uh, many uh, many periods of my life have been marred by anhedonia. It's not fun. It's not fun to try to eat something and then just experience no pleasure from eating it. But I've been there before. Um, I don't. I'm not in a period of anhedonia right now, but I have a major depressive disorder, so sometimes uh, that can look like having anhedonia. Like sometimes I have anhedonic symptoms, but thankfully that's very, very rare for me. God, it's impossible to bait you into drama. Yeah, I mean, I don't like drama. Um, yeah, I was just mentioning him because that type of content back in 2019 was way more screaming into the void than you and no. Yeah. Do you still smoke weed? Question mark. No, I do not. Um, I think the last time I smoked weed was like February. I think it was like February of this year. Uh, I I don't know. I Weed has been one of those things that I've always used very infrequently. Like I've never been a daily cannabis user before. Uh, even though um, I've smoked weed since I was 16, but there's never been a period of time where I've used it daily or in high amounts. Um, like I've had like grams and grams of weed like stacked on my desk before, where I can see it every single day, uh, and just not touched it for like months. So I don't know. Um, is it better that you stopped? Um, I don't know. I think it's just been kind of neutral. Like I'm not opposed to smoking it again in the future, but I'm not in any rush. Like um, it, if someone offered me some in the right mood with some music or something, I wouldn't be opposed, but uh, I don't think about it. I almost never think about marijuana, and it's kind of always been like that for the last 4 years. Um, oh, I thought my man blazed all the time at one point. My bad. A lot of people have thought that. I don't know why. Maybe I just give off that vibe. Remember when you found free weed on the floor of that store? Yeah, that was really funny. That was a good time. That was good weed too. Um, I've lost my neat cred. I got a fast food job recently, but thankfully I don't have to do customer service. Are you working at Macca's over there? Are you working at Macca's? um, yeah. I don't know. I used to drink alcohol every single day, and I did that for almost 2 years. It was like a year and a half about that I drank really heavily. Like I would wake up and pull out the vodka and drink, and I wouldn't really get that drunk at that time of day. I would just kind of feel normal, and then it would be closer to like the afternoon, and then I would get drunk, and I would just stay drunk for a lot of the day, and then at night I would kind of drink myself to sleep, and I did that for a long ass time. There were some days when I didn't drink, and those days were pretty much all the days I recorded videos because I did not want to record videos or stream uh, drinking alcohol. I just didn't think it produced good content. I thought it made me kind of dumber, so I just avoided that. But I was an alcoholic. I was drinking way too much, and once I stopped doing that, my life did get a lot better. Oh, it took a while, it took like a year, but and the withdrawals were really hard to go through, but I'm glad I stopped drinking. That's dangerous. Alcohol deserves the stigma, TBH. I got ulcers. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. It is definitely dangerous. Like, a lot of people don't know that uh, alcohol addiction can kill you. Like, if you drink all the time for long enough and you suddenly stop, the withdrawals are so great that they can actually kill you. You can have seizures and then ultimately die. Um, so it's not something to screw around with. It is one of the most dangerous drugs in existence, which is insane because it's so commonplace. I do think it can be used responsibly. Most people who drink responsibly, but uh, when used irresponsibly, it's not good. And even just a moderate amount of alcohol has some neurotoxicity. Uh, that's not good. Cardiotoxicity as well. Um, I mean the effect, like why you get hangovers it's literally your body eliciting an autoimmune response because the prior day you had poisoned yourself. And so when you have a hangover and you wake up the next day, like you're um, somewhat withdrawing from the drug, and also your body is reacting to the poison that you gave yourself. So alcohol is serious. Like it's not something to screw around with. Also, normies should not be drinking. They become aggressive, like my dad. Um, I've been around a lot of people who have drank, and seldom have they become aggressive. I know it's a thing that happens a lot because when people who already have anger issues have their inhibitions removed, it's like no holds barred. Like they just don't give a shit, and then they get mad. But like I've gotten angry at someone after having drank like once, like one time, and it was when I was in a really toxic relationship. I yelled at my ex-boyfriend and said some crazy shit after like drinking way, way too much. But that was literally one time, and I've been drinking since I was like 14. I didn't go off on people and get angry when I was a 14-year-old drinking, so I don't know. Um, I'm a pretty jolly drunk. It kind of, I made this list. I made a comprehensive list of every drug I've ever tried. Uh, and there was a huge overrepresentation of depressants. Like, there were so many depressants on there that I was like, I'm kind of getting lazy with my meta, or I guess my past self was lazy with their meta. Um, And I think like the reason why I had tried so many different depressants is because depressants like alcohol, they kind of just make me not give a shit. Like if I started out angry and then I drank, I wouldn't suddenly indulge in the anger more. I would just cease to give a shit about whatever I was mad about. And so, at the height of my addiction, I found myself, um, I found myself drinking to curb anger. Depressants mostly because of ease of access also, question mark? Not really, no. I think it was primarily because of a preference. Like I was self-medicating with opiates and benzodiazepines and alcohol and dissociatives, which are kind of a depressant. Like dissociatives are weird because they're technically a hallucinogen, but they also have a depressant effect. Um, and there are also some dissos that are very stimulating, like a lot of the PCP analogs that I tried, like 3-MeO PCP, for example, very stimulating compound. Um, but like ketamine has depressant effects, and I've used a lot of ketamine. Uh, and that's not super easy to find. Um, so I think a lot of it had to do with just being depressed and anxious. How is ketamine? Uh, that's definitely one of my favorite drugs. I love ketamine. Like the afterglow that I feel like days after uh, I would do it. Sometimes weeks after I would feel like significantly less depressed. Um, the experience itself, like especially with higher dosages, the kind of out of body experience I would have would in a sort of inadvertent way like increase my immersion into say video games like a lot. Like I Ketamine's super super immersive. I loved playing video games on that. Also, I there's no other drug, and I've done over 50 different drugs. That drug would make it to where I could access memories in such a vivid way that it felt like I was there again. When I was in Dresden in 2021, I went to go see this Gerhard Richter exhibit, this art exhibit with all of his paintings. Um, and there was this time I did ketamine almost a year after that, this year, um, and I was in a call with No Thank You at the time, and he was telling me the story of a time he did DMT, and I was listening to him, but so many of the descriptions that he gave vividly reminded me of Gerhard Richter's art. And so as he was talking, I had my eyes closed, and it felt as though I was walking through that exhibit again, like in my mind's eye. It was incredible. Like I never experienced anything like that. And so big fan. Um, I don't think it would be on like my, maybe it would be in my top 10. I don't know. I've never bothered with alcohol because I seem to have a pretty high tolerance by default, and it gives me a vicious acid reflux, not worth it. Yeah, I seem to have this thing in my family where just about everybody doesn't get hangovers. The only time I've gotten a hangover was after experiencing alcohol poisoning. Like I had drank so much, um, like out of self-harm, and I did this live stream when I did it, and I was vomiting on the live stream just kind of as a cry for help. Uh, this was years ago, and oh, huh, okay. Uh, and I ended up waking up the next day feeling like absolute shit because of the alcohol poisoning. But besides that, I've never gotten a hangover before. I've never had stomach issues because of drinking. I think that's part of why I used to drink so much was because I didn't really have major downsides associated with it. I think it just made it harder for me to focus on things. Like my attention span had gotten worse, and my memory had gotten a little bit worse. Um, I didn't like that, and I didn't like having to drink just to feel normal. And so one day I just stopped. At the very end of 2020, I just stopped cold turkey, and I removed myself from all of the triggers that I had that caused me to drink. Like anything that reminded me of drinking, the places I would drink, the activities I would do while drinking, I avoided all of that, and I just stayed on my couch and I marathoned Scorsese movies. I watched Nosferatu and a bunch of cool shit for a couple weeks while I was sweating and shaking, and super fucking anxious, and I just got through it. And then I did not become a habitual drinker ever again. Did ketamine heal you? Um, it would depend on how you would define heal. Like the reports that come from people with treatment resistant depression who go to like a ketamine clinic, I don't think I had as helpful of experiences as they have, but it definitely helped in a long-term sense, not just a short-term one. But I did not no longer meet the criteria for major depressive disorder anymore. I still have major depressive disorder. So, have any come downs from certain drugs kept you away from the drug itself? If I smoke weed, I wake up with a huge brain fog, so I either need to binge weed or never do it. That's interesting. I've heard some people mention um, getting a come down from marijuana, but I've just never gotten that before. Um, yeah, I think um, meth is definitely one of those ones. Like at at the very end of me living in Wyoming, and after I had quit my job as the hotel housekeeper, I I had this moment where I felt like complete and utter shit because the day prior I had just been redosing and redosing and redosing on this substance. I lived in Casper? No, I lived in Laramie, but I was at a point where I felt like suicidally depressed. I could not focus on anything. Like my room was a mess because stay, I couldn't keep my attention on something for like 10 seconds to move it where it belonged. And I called my friend No, and I was just like, I want to stop this. I want to stop. Like, this is terrible. Like, what am I doing to myself? What am I doing with my life? And ever since then, I have not touched that substance. Um, and I don't intend to. Uh, like I said, I don't have a holistically negative view on it. I have a pretty nuanced view on it, but I can say definitively that by the end of my time there in that state, I was using it in a very unhealthy way, um, in a destructive way. It became destructive, and so I was like, no thanks. I'm not doing this. But with other drugs that have a very harsh come down, in general, like I just saw the come down as a transient thing. Like um, with MDMA, for example, um, I've had some harsh come downs on that substance, and it didn't make me think I never want to do this again. It made me think, well, I'm gonna feel like this for about a day, and so whatever negative feeling I was having right then would be over, and it usually was over. And then, about a month later or a couple months later, I would do it again and then have about the same thought. This has generally been my experience. Um, I guess cocaine. Cocaine would probably be the example I would give. I've only done that like less than 5 times. It's been like a handful of times, but I hated how short the duration was. That it would last like 15 minutes, and then you'd feel like complete and utter shit. And I wouldn't be thinking, oh man, I really have to do more so I can get my high back. I would be thinking, man, this fucking sucks coming down from this thing. Like, why would I want to put this in my body? And then I didn't. And those 15 minutes were pretty all right. Um, with meth, you get at least 6 hours. Yeah, exactly. Like those 15 minutes would be pretty all right, but I would think that amphetamines would feel better and they would last much longer. So I was just like, this is a fucking waste. Like I don't need this. I guess Coke is like really the only example like that I can give. I generally don't like drugs that have a very short duration. Which Scorsese movies? I watched almost all of them. Any physical ramifications. I've noticed stems make my hair go thinner because I never eat um, no nutrition, or did you not neglect those duties like eating on it? I would make sure I would eat. It was just very difficult. Like it felt like my stomach like wanted to throw up but never would. It would like I would force it down and it would feel as though like my from my throat or my esophagus or something, it was like physically trying to push whatever food I was putting in out, but I would just force myself to eat anyway. Um, the main physical ramification I noticed uh, from doing amphetamines was like my skin. I noticed that like skin was peeling off of my face uh, from dehydration, and also it just does that. Like, but the thing is, I would be drinking water constantly. Like, I'd be drinking so much water, but I would still feel dehydrated. And so I definitely looked different. Like I think I looked less attractive when I was doing meth. Um, Besides that, I don't know. I think I, any jaw clenching or teeth. No, my teeth didn't get fucked up. I experienced jaw clenching, yes, but I would chew on gum or I would chew on something, and so my teeth didn't get fucked up. So do coke addicts sniff every 10 minutes? Yeah, like every like 10, 15 minutes. Um, I'm not about that. I, Either the cat is scratching wood because his claws or he wants to go out. I'll probably let him out in a bit. I really hope my mom isn't hearing all this stuff because it's really easy to hear in this house. Like she knew that I checked into rehab, and so she has an idea, but she thinks that I checked into rehab for a sedative habit, which is not untrue. Like I needed help with detoxing from benzodiazepines. By that time, I wasn't detoxing from anything else, but she doesn't know that I've used all these other drugs. Um, and I just I don't want her opinion of me to go down or something because she heard that. But at the same time, it's like I don't really care that much. But sound, she don't need to know. Yeah, exactly. Like, but sound travels really, really easily in this house. So hopefully, no one picked up on it. But Casino is better than Goodfellas, yes or no? I think it's better than Goodfellas. Casino has way more style, and it's a lot more bombastic. Like, I think Casino has the most bombastic directing of any of Scorsese's movies. Um, it's really, really good. Also, it's a lot more racist than Goodfellas was. Like, the racism in that movie is really hilarious. There's so many tracking shots in that movie. Like he really goes nuts with the tracking shots. Like I know he loves his tracking shots and the like erratic zoom ins and stuff. Like um speaking of cocaine, Martin was a famous cokehead and Casino Structure highlights that. I did not know that. I didn't know that Martin Scorsese was a cokehead. A lot of artists are. Um, I think, I think artists get away with it because cocaine is primarily just very, very bad for your heart, but not really your brain. Like, amphetamines are known to be neurotoxic, and people who heavily abuse amphetamines, you'll notice a difference, especially after a long period of time, you will notice a difference in their cognition. Like something won't entirely be there because of the neurotoxicity. But cocaine, it's not particularly neurotoxic. Um, it's just it's just bad for your heart, for the most part, at least. And so I think that that's why a lot of artists have gotten away with doing it without it like really impacting their art. Um, I'm thinking about the structure of the movie now, and that's really funny. I kind of want to rewatch it again, even though I've seen it like 10 times, just with that context. So apparently after Taxi Driver, he was crazy on coke, made New York, New York on cocaine, and De Niro got him off of it by the time Raging Bull was made. Huh. That, huh. I'm kind of tracing the lineage now and kind of seeing it. I definitely need to rewatch New York, New York then. Oh my God. Yeah, it's just these babies for me. These days it's this and this. I mean, you know, compared to how many drugs I used to use, I think that's an improvement, but most people they would look at that and go, "Man, you're really unhealthy." And then I would go, "If only you know how bad things really are." But he romanticizes coke in his movies, even while made sober, so he must have had a good time. Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I mean, like, if you were an addict and you didn't acknowledge that there was a positive component, at least at some point, to your drug use, I think you're just lying to yourself. Um, like, people don't use drugs to feel bad. They use them because they elicit primarily positive responses. The problem is that the longer you use a drug, the more it's primarily negative. So you start destroying yourself and using it just to feel normal. But that's where it's difficult to come off of them because when you do come off of them, all of a sudden you feel much worse than um, you did when you started out. And during that time where you're adjusting, your brain is reaching homeostasis, like back to the way that it used to be, um, because it had adapted to all of those feel good chemicals that are being released by the drug. Um, but prior to uh, it like adapting itself to regularly having the drug in your body, um, you felt real nice. Issue is that everything in the body works through a feedback loop. It depends on what you mean by that. I don't think that's far off from what I'm saying if I'm interpreting it right, but you'd have to expound upon that a little bit. Um, yeah, like the body is constantly trying to meet homeostasis. What was the worst Scorsese you watched? Hugo? I would say probably Hugo, or like I didn't like Mean Streets that much. That was the one, right? The like one of the first movies he did. It was Mean Streets, I think that was the name. I thought that one was really forgettable. Hugo probably, yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Oh yeah, Bringing Out the Dead is super underrated. That's one of my favorite movies actually. Like I don't think he's ever gone quite that gothic ever in a movie. And the fact that it has fucking Nick Cage as the main character in a Scorsese movie is amazing. It's such a good movie. Making me want to smoke? Don't do it. It's really bad for you. Um if you want to use nicotine, use like gum or something. Like use nicotine gum or some other like oral or sublingual administration. Don't smoke. There's like a vape at least. Vape is a much healthier alternative to cigarettes. I smoke cigarettes because I like how they taste and I'm self-destructive. Whenever I watch gangster movies or World War II movies, I always want to smoke. Um, Relax, bro. I've smoked for years. It's nice. Okay, cool. Okay. So we're part of the same gang then. I for some reason just assumed you were like a new smoker. Have you tried the Nick salt vapes ever? Do you smoke for the nicotine? I do smoke for the nicotine. I actually vaped before I ever smoked cigarettes. The first time I vaped was when I was 13 years old. I didn't actually smoke cigarettes until I was like 15. Um, but I had vaped in middle school. Um, Salt vapes. The only vapes I've ever used were the propylene glycol vapes. Um, I've never used like water-based vapes before. I don't know. Endocrinol chron, endocrinol endocrinologically. I can say endocrinology, but chronologically, you're fucking me up there. The body will adjust to anything you take by downregulating endogenous production of similar chemicals or by upregulating receptors. Yeah, that's correct. Dopamine downregulation, for example, huge issue in the use of just about any drug. And so that's part of why it's important not to uh, use them on a regular basis. Or, and this is what I would recommend to everybody, don't start, because you never know if you could fall into some kind of addiction. I mean, you know, I haven't used any drug since August. I think it was August. It's since before I became homeless, I haven't used any drug besides nicotine and caffeine. And I've been thinking about drugs every single day since then. Like I've wanted drugs every single day since I stopped. And um I wasn't dependent on any one particular substance. I kind of had a Grand Theft Auto 5 weapon scroll wheel. I'm getting goofy now. Of different ones that I would choose from as to not develop tolerance with any one particular drug. And I would just kind of switch between them like this. And what I wasn't admitting to myself, what I didn't realize was that I was a poly addict. I was addicted to drugs, and I am. I'm just not using them. But just not one. You know, I was addicted to the broad concept of altering my consciousness. And even though I'm sober now and I'm doing my best to remain that way, I think about them every single day. Uh, you know, like I end up wanting them every single day. I feel like part of why I started smoking way more is because, you know, whatever hole that was left by stopping all of those drugs, I've been filling with smoking so much. Um, GTA 5 weapon wheel of narcotics, LMAO, such a great writer. Thank you. Um, yeah, like it was you know, you don't want to be in a situation like the one I'm in is what I'm basically saying. So you should try your best, whoever you are out there. If you haven't started using substances, don't. You know, like I think that's the best advice anyone can give. You know, I support um people's autonomous right to do whatever they want with their own body, uh, as long as their actions don't lead to direct harm of other individuals or their property. But just because I support that right and I support people's ability to have their own perspective on what's best for them, I'm not going to say I know better than them what's best for them. Um, like that doesn't mean that I should at the same time be as irresponsible as to suggest that like everyone should try the things that I've done, even though I really like the things that I've done. As much as I'm trying not to use them, it's like uh, I don't know, it's complicated. How old are you? I'm 20 years old. Polyaddict, I like that word. Get out your thesaurus, lads. Let's make Osaka try to pronounce some big words. Go ahead. Um, So you will never be able to use the same protocol for anything, have the same effect for any period of time body owns you. I think after long enough, your body readjusts to the homeostasis you were like previously in. So your the endogenous chemicals you were producing at the start begin to be produced in a similar vein. It just takes a while. I smoke for narrative reasons. It's a big part of role playing as a human being. That's funny. Um, yeah, I turn 21 in April. And April 29th is my birthday. I've been watching you on and off since you were 17. Since then my life has changed a lot, but I feel some sort of familiarity with you. Yeah, yeah, like I think in spite of the fact that I'm in about the same place, I am literally in the same place as when I was 17. Um, I've changed a lot as a person. So, you know, while we may be in different places, we can at least relate on the fact that the two of us have probably changed as people during all that time. And sometimes all familiarity needs is um, to be familiar with someone. All you might need is the fact that the two of you are moving, however different those directions may be, however much they may diverge. I'm in a polyamorous relationship with multiple exogenous chemicals. Yeah. Uh, I've been thinking about heroin every day since I stopped. Like I wasn't a daily user of that substance. Hell, I wasn't even using it multiple times a week. But I think about it. It's really the depressants that I think about the most. Like I think about benzodiazepines, I think about heroin. Um, I don't think about meth really ever. Unless I'm like jerking off, I'll think about meth because part of what was so enticing about that substance for me was it removed like all of my sexual inhibitions. Like that shame that I feel when I try to watch gay porn or when I try to fantasize about myself with another man, it was just evaporated. And like even though I'm primarily attracted to men, like 90% attracted to men, sometimes I just can't get it up. Like I just can't get an erection no matter how attracted I am to someone because in my head there's this little voice telling me what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is morally wrong. It feels almost as though God is in the bedroom with me when I have sex with another man. Um, and I feel like this influenced a lot of my gender dysphoric feelings because I would have rather been a straight woman than a gay man. That's how much I hated being gay. Um, and then I I would use that substance and all of that just gone. You know, I didn't give a shit about all of that shame. Um, I could authentically, or at least chemically induced, and for the time, love being gay. What happened with the name Star? Star was too generic, and I was using the character, the anime character Osaka, in as an Easter egg in almost all my videos. A friend of mine messaged me one day with a meme that said instead of brain, there is Osaka, Osaka syndrome. And I was like, I'm gonna change my channel name to that right now because I thought it was so funny, and so I did. And then I've just leaned more heavily into that branding ever since. It was hard not to start smoking and drinking when I started uni, but I was able to refrain from this. That's good. Um, yeah, don't let the people around you influence you into habits that you don't want to have. Especially when they act as crutches much of the time. It's much better to face your problems for what they are in an un how do I put this, unadulterated fashion than to um, escape from them. Religious upbringing question mark? No, I both of my parents were atheists, but I was raised around a lot of homophobia and so I I feel that way because of the homophobia that I was raised around. Somebody said F in the chat. Is the stream still going? I'm gonna try not to okay, cool. I'm gonna try not to smoke all of my cigarettes. There's 8 of them left. So I'm gonna try to leave that box there. Um, I'm gonna call my doctor in the morning and I'm gonna ask if I can get nicotine patches or some some other like form of medicinal intervention to stop smoking because I don't like the fact that I have to smoke just to feel normal. Like I still get effects from nicotine. Like it still improves my mood, reduces my anxiety, increases my focus, um, my verbal capacity. I still get positive effects from it. But at the same time that I'm still getting those effects, I also find myself uh, with a headache due to not smoking. I find myself more anxious due to not smoking. I find myself more depressed due to not smoking. And I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be relying on this one highly toxic drug just to not have those things happen. Um, it's addiction. Yeah, it is addiction. I am addicted to nicotine. I'm well aware of that. Um, and so I'm gonna call my doctor in the morning. I've been saying this throughout today. After I bought that pack of cigarettes, that I'm gonna talk to my doctor in the morning about getting this fixed because I know I can do it. I know I can stop. I've stopped with other things before. Um, I was an alcoholic at the end of 2020 for almost 2 years, and I stopped successfully, cold turkey. I just powered through it, and that was out of the strength of the will. That was out of my ability to assess what were the root causes of my addiction, identify the triggers associated with it, and then planning around that as to not fall back into those habits. And I was successful. I did it. I've been staying away from all those other drugs for this period of time. So I know I can do it with nicotine also. I just have to try. And so I'm gonna do that uh, when the doctor's office opens. I'm gonna call them and I'm gonna seriously address this. I usually smoke roll-ups, way less chemicals. Yeah, I've heard that about um, rolling your own. I don't. I just don't like rolling my own cigarettes. For some reason, I like smoking through filters. Um, it's I don't know why. Facing your problems sober gives you all the building blocks to heal yourself. Doing drugs gives you a good result, but no tools to keep you up. Um, I think that's definitely true with a lot of people, but I've met people for whom that descriptor does not apply. Like I've met people who uh, had issues that they faced while sober, but they also happen to occasionally escape into drug use every now and then, in the same way that one might escape into a video game or anime every now and then. And those people were and are fine and have been for years. It's not impossible that they might fall from where they're at in the future, where they might um, end up in a bad place. But there's a lot of people who don't. I'm not saying I'm one of those people. In fact, I think I just described the opposite of that, but they definitely exist. Um, so I'm generally pretty resistant to like making broad generalizations like that. I think I think it's true of me. When I talk about uh, negative things about my relationship to substance use, I think it's true of me, and it's true of people who are like me. But I don't know about everybody because I've seen so many counter examples. Roll-ups take time to make them, so you smoke way less. That's what I heard from people who use them. Yeah, there's an appreciation in having to make at least a part of it yourself, and that uh, the time put into that causes you to have more respect for the substance. Yes, exactly. When you have a box, it's just too convenient, and I like a little ritual. Yeah, I think a huge part of why I'm an addict is environmental because like a lot of things about my life right now are just really shitty. Like I don't want to live here. I don't want to be completely alone. I want to I want to be seeing my friends, and I want to be doing productive things with those friends in the real world. By the way, did you ever vomit your first time on heroin? No. Um, I've I vomited on oxycodone when I was like 17. Um, but not from heroin, no. I haven't even vomited on fentanyl. Which, I got nauseous on fentanyl, but I didn't vomit. Um, but I've only ever used that like twice. One of them was unknowingly in something that I thought was this tramadol analog called O-des-methyl tramadol. Apparently, there was a not unsubstantial amount of fentanyl in that, and I ended up having a very intense and probably somewhat dangerous experience that way. The other time was intentional, and so measured properly. Both of those times I felt very nauseous, but I didn't throw up. Um, I've never thrown up from heroin. I'm just thinking now. I'm a little more quiet now because I'm thinking. Um, I wonder how many messages haven't been able to get through on the chat because we've been talking about such uh too hot for YouTube type subjects, like the kind that moderation doesn't like, or YouTube's bot moderators don't like. I remember hearing repeatedly growing up that it's commonplace to throw up first time drinking and smoking alike. Um, I mean, a lot of people who drink for the first time don't know how much they can withstand, and they don't really have context for what's an appropriate dose, so they end up drinking way more than they should. I did not throw up the first time that I drank, like 6 years ago. Um, I did throw up the first time I smoked. I had a really, really negative reaction to it entering my lungs. I thought it was just disgusting, and then eventually I learned to like the taste of it um, and the way it made me feel. I've been really socially active in September after many years of being a hiki, and after this, I started appreciating being alone so I don't have friends again. Um, I mean, I think I'll always prefer to have more alone time than some more normal people. I'm autistic, I'm quite introverted. My my hobbies are all solitary hobbies for the most part, but I'm I'm never going to not appreciate social interaction. I'm never going to not need social interaction. I need social interaction. I'm gonna step out for a smoke myself real quick. Understood. Um, yeah, I need people. Uh, it's really important for me to have people. And I've been so starved for social interaction my whole life, like really my whole life, that like it's a miracle that I'm as functional as a human now as I am, and that's kind of terrifying and sad to say because if you look at a lot of things about me, and I'm definitely not functional by no means, for sure. Um, but I need an environment with supportive people where I can be productive and I can not be so lonely. I just stay in this room all the time. It's been like this for as long as I can remember. When I wasn't staying in this room all the time, surely it was another room. I didn't throw up for either, but I recall getting a sore throat from smoking. The only time I smoked weed, I threw up, but other than that, I haven't had that problem, lol. Yeah, I think you probably smoked too much weed. This is another thing, like, when you first smoke weed, you really only need to have a couple hits. A lot of people, they have no intuition for how much they should have, so they end up having way too much. It with any, you know, I recommend just as a general statement that people shouldn't try drugs, but if they're going to, they should do so in the way that's the most safe and the most likely to provide a positive experience. And generally, that will entail starting small. No, not generally, always, always that will entail starting small and then working your way up because you don't know how your body is going to react to it. You're getting acquainted with how your body will react to it. And so you may be excited and want to do a whole bunch because of how excited you are, but that is the fastest way to have a negative experience and to end up feeling worse than you did when you started out. So you even if like starting with just a little bit doesn't make you feel anything, that's good. That means you can slowly work your way up. I should definitely drink water. I haven't been drinking water. I would love just to advise you, don't do anything self-destructive. You have a brilliant mind, and generally your youth impulsive decisions will determine if we waste potential. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna try my best not to have my noggin fall off. Um, I've used substances that are neurotoxic before, but um, I've tried my best to use them in a manner that like reduces that as much as humanly possible, or just doesn't evoke that response. But it's undeniable that I've done things that have caused some lasting damage. The degree to which it's going to affect my output or me as a person is yet to be seen. Um, I don't think it's been that much thus far, but that could always change. And I'm gonna be the one who decides whether or not that changes. And I'm trying to live my life in a way that treats it as something valuable and to treat myself as something valuable, which necessarily entails not destroying that life or myself. Just don't go go out like Terry Davis where the craziness outweighed the ambition. I'll try my best. I thank you for the support. Yeah, that is for sure why, and I had no idea you're right. I don't use recreational drugs, but I've always applied the principle of microdosing the first time I try anything at all. That's smart. That's smart. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't mind the idea of shaving a few decades off of my life, at least not now. That could always change, but the way I've always seen it is like being alive to some extent entails in like for example carcinogens are everywhere. Like there are carcinogens in so many things, it's unavoidable. To be alive is to do damage to yourself. I talked about harm reduction with recreational drugs, but really that's an odd term because I brush my teeth in the morning, but I wouldn't call that harm reduction for my teeth, even though what it's doing is reducing harm. We're not marrying we're not marrying harm to the idea of having teeth, but there is some harm associated with it. Everything that exists can pose some risk to you. And the question I have to ask myself is, do I want to live as though um, minimizing risk is the only prerogative, or do I want to live as though um, calculated risks can provide utility and maximizing my overall happiness? And so when thinking in the long term and assessing all that comes with that, I've decided that some damage is all right. Um, but it is more than possible to go overboard, and it's more than possible that I'm wrong about that right now. I discovered that being in the library boosts my reading productivity a lot. Never once visited it in my life before. Yeah, it's good to have a place that you associate with one activity and just that. So, like reading, for example, you go to the library just to read. There's nothing to distract you there. Um, yeah. If you're in a library, like you just associate it with that task. In the same way that like if you're trying to be productive at something consistently, um, it's good to separate the spaces that you do playtime and work time at. So like you don't want to do everything, for example, in your room because especially like at the exact same desk, you're going to be playing video games there, looking at porn, talking to friends. Like you try to work at that desk and you're going to be way more likely to be distracted. But if you have a dedicated desk in another room just for productive things, you're a lot less likely to get distracted. You don't want your one place to be all your place, if that makes sense. Um, I'm kind of petering off here to I'm really depressed. This stream has helped me a lot, but I started out this stream so fucking depressed. Like, um, I've been really depressed basically ever since it was made known to me that I would have to live here again in this house. Um, well, my mom really fucked up her old apartment. She had a new apartment, and I got out of the mental hospital. I was detoxed and everything. I got on new meds, and I started living there, and things were really looking up. Like everything was great, right? And she fucks up things with the landlord. She got scammed by the landlord, gets kicked out of that house, and now both of us are back here in this place that I've been trying to get away from for God knows how long now. I ran away from home as a minor. I had to go to juvenile detention because I ran away from home. I've been trying to get away from this situation, this house, for so long now, and I thought I did. But the person I was relying on fucked it up. And so now I'm back here, and I'm incredibly isolated. All of my friends are in different parts of the country, and there's like no one who lives where I live, so I can't exactly make friends. Um, I don't meet anyone I like around here, so I'm just kind of fucked. And so I've been really depressed since coming here, but I've been filling my time with distractions. Like that's why I started doing this stream because it is something that evokes positive feelings in me doing these videos. Um, but I don't know, man. I don't know how much longer I can withstand this. Like I think I'm gonna be living out of my car once I get the car. Like if I can continue saving like I've been doing to get that car, um, I can just live out of that car. Sucks. It's not good to be in a place that reminds you of what you were running from, but it's just your body there, not your mind there. I like the sentiment behind that, and I do think that in many respects, like we do have agency over the mindset that we have in a place, but I also think that that only goes so far because part of what inevitably informs one's mindset is their surrounding environment. Um, and so, like, for example, like if I pointed a gun at you and said to do something for me, you would still be technically choosing to do that thing, as in you're exerting a degree of agency to do so, but it is less agency than what you would have, for example, choosing. You're not exactly under duress choosing what you want for dinner, unless like there's some other crazy scenario, or I don't know, you have very little money. But again, that's an external force that is limiting your agency. And so you're sure you made a choice to do what that guy said, but the choices are far more limited. Like your agency is far more limited than what it would be if you weren't under duress. And so I feel as though, like, while I can make choices that improve upon my mindset and my general mind state while I'm here, there's a degree to which those external factors have command over me and relinquish me from some of my agency, where it's comparatively less than it would otherwise be. And so I want to be in a place where I'm more free and can therefore begin to work on a lot of the issues with my mind that have stemmed from the trauma associated with this place. And that's what I'm trying to do, and I can only do that um, by continuing to save and get that vehicle. Because if I live in that vehicle, I can go anywhere. I can be anywhere I want in this country. I can build whatever I want there. So I'm just trying to keep the hope. I'm trying to be patient. I'm trying to make good decisions that'll lead me toward being fulfilled in the long term. I have kept faith in that. I'm not in a rush right now. As depressed as I am, I'm not in a rush. But I'm also keeping my eye on the prize. Hello? It says Aspie Pilled. Hello, welcome to the stream. Um, yeah. I think I'd make some cool videos living in a car, doing the van life thing. Van life is like a genre on YouTube that I think that would be fun to do. It's a comfy life. Have you ever lived it before? Um, in South Africa? You've been patient so long, it's just a little longer now. You're almost at the finish line. Thank you. Um, yeah, like, what the fuck was I gonna say? I had something else I wanted. Oh, yeah. Living in a tent wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. The worst thing, though, was that I got my tent stolen. My tent got fucking jacked. They jacked my solar panel as well. They stole my solar panel and my external battery and my tent. I just hope they still have it. That's all I can say. I hope I hope it's doing them some good wherever they are. Can't wait for the future Osaka van videos when you're fitting a kitchen and a shower in the back. Let's hope I have enough resources to do such a thing. I was thinking more in the line of going to rest stops for those anemones, or I don't know, gym membership. That was the other thing. My more valuable stuff I kept in a little storage locker, and I had the gym membership to take a shower. Something I fantasized a lot about is becoming like a freeder in Europe. Um, I've oh wait, let me read this real quick. I've caravanned across South Africa. Besides theft and crime, it's amazing, especially alone. You can spend days at a remote location before they find you and tell you to park somewhere else like a camp. Whoa! Yeah, that sounds amazing. You know, um, I wish I could come down there and us hang out someday. You know, I was talking about going to the UK to hang out with No. Um, it would be cool. It would be cool to hang out with you, Tramp Stamp there. Um, I do vagrant type of things when I travel sometimes, and the one golden rule is to stay so far away from other people when you camp. Yeah, it makes sense. Um, but yeah, like I fantasized about becoming like a freeder, which is this, it's a Japanese term basically meant to denote someone who takes up odd jobs but doesn't have like a full-time job. They just do odd jobs on the side, and but they're mostly a need. And I like something about that is so appealing to me, but I don't want to do it in America. Like I want to have some way to get my papers in order to be able to stay in Europe in the long term and just couch surf because I have way more European friends than American friends for some fucking reason. Just couch surf, do stay in a tent and do odd jobs here and there. Um, Maybe do what my dad did and have like cycling girlfriends that I kind of leech off of. That would be kind of based. um, don't know if I have the charisma for that or not, but these sorts of things, but just not in this continent, just over there. I think that would be nice because I don't know, America's dangerous. America's really dangerous. I don't know. I'm from the UK and it sucks. Isn't as bad as America though. Yeah, I believe it. I haven't been to the UK yet. I've been to Germany, Czech Republic, and Poland, but not the UK. I imagine Africa is a lot like the Old West, same with parts of South America. I think that's definitely true. I think you would love Europe, and yeah, when you see No, I'm taking the train from the Netherlands to see your asses. Yo, you're in the Netherlands now? Nice. Um, yeah, that would be fucking awesome. Um, if you're still on your old Discord account, when I get access to my old Discord account, I'll just message you there. That would be fucking sick. Hey, what's up, Osaka Syndrome? Um, I don't know. Strange things are happening. I'm experiencing um, the Lovecraftian horror that is uh, existence. Um, I I I'm talking about Europe. But yeah, no, I've actually been to Europe before. I do really love it there. The only reason I got to go there, by the way, is because I had a really rich boyfriend who paid for me to be able to go there. And so I got to see a lot of really cool shit. And I lived there for several months actually with him. And it was like night and day. It was so much better than America. Like Europeans, I had generally pretty negative experiences with them. Uh, at least Germans, because that was like the most experience I had. In Poland, most people were like overly nice to me, which was kind of weird. Like they heard my accent and then they just got kind of excited. It was almost comical how much Polish people thought I was cool just for being American. That was a little weird. But um, Germans were like, it felt like they were pissed off just that I existed. Like they were like, get the fuck out of my country, you fucking Amerimut. Like they were not having it. So I did not feel particularly welcomed there, but nonetheless, I really liked it. As much as I was disliked, I liked where I was. Okay, yo, baller basically had a sugar daddy. Yeah, I met you in a singular CS:GO match, and have been following your life for the past however many months. It's crazy, says Ted Kaczynski. Damn. Uh, wow. The ways people find me. Um, I know a couple people have played CS with me and then checked out my channel. I always think that's really fucking cool. Europeans either love or hate Americans, no in between. Yeah, 100%. I want to go to, what is it, Bill Clinton Avenue in Kosovo. Kosovo is like the most pro-American country ever. They have the Statue of Liberty in like in their capital. Um, there's a clothing store in that same capital named after Hillary Clinton. It's so fucking weird. Uh, Growing up, Europeans is kind of dumb with how different a lot of the countries are culturally. Um, Thoughts on Ted Kaczynski, and then Ted Kaczynski says Pog. Um, if you're wondering about my thoughts, I that's way too much to go into right now, but I'll just say that he was a very interesting theorist. The manifesto that everyone reads is kind of rambling, especially at the first of it. But I think his other work is stronger as far as like reading. Be patient with him. He is American. I mean, I talked about like some variants in European cultures. I was just talking about generally how I was treated. Uh, a social refusal can be kind of friendly, TBH. It's like at least they know you aren't putting on a fake friendly facade. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Um, I found you from your poetry videos being posted on Oboe-chan. I still think those videos are so damn comfy. Poetry videos. Did I make poetry videos at some point? I didn't know they were posted to Oboe-chan either. That's kind of neat. Yeah, welcome to the stream or channel or whatever. Yo, dog, you were on Oboe-chan. I was. Um, there was a thread. There was a thread that was like detailing neat YouTubers, and there were a lot of very unscrupulous, let's just say, posts made about me in that thread. A lot of people on that board don't like me for whatever reason. And then some people used it as an excuse to fabricate claims about me or just generally say negative things that were unfounded, which is fine. That's the nature of the internet. But a lot of drama whoring around around me on image boards. I wrote the Wikipedia entry for Yume Nikki back in 2009. That's crazy. Huh. Um, Internet famous, lol. Oh, you're talking about these four walls. I say that's poetry in my books. Thank you. Um, yeah, uh, I'm still very proud of that video. However, I don't think it holds up as well as my newer writing. I think newer things I've written are much better than that video. But a lot of people still say it's their favorite. Um, Everybody has a favorite, I guess. I found you when I when I searched Mr. Cynical. That's hilarious. Um, some of those videos that have like over 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 views, I, I find some interesting people from those videos, the ones who stick around. I mean, laundromats are cool is also poetry. Thank you. Um, I think there's because I write poetry independent of like the stories that I write and then turn into videos. There are aspects of of that that get integrated into the stories that I tell in um, written form. The low IQ post on image boards, the high IQ only watch from a distance. Yeah, exactly. I think I'm probably gonna head out a little bit after we reach 3 hours, which is gonna be in like 7 minutes. Love you eternally, brother. I have autistic nostalgia for 2019 and meeting you guys. I'll shoot you a message on Discord. I want you on my IRL film podcast to discuss your Scorsese experience. Keep safe. Yeah, no, I love you too, brother. Thank you. I'm excited to hopefully meet you in real life if we can arrange all of that. Stay safe yourself and right on. Rock on. I don't remember how I found you. I just saw your channel and thought this guy is posting. Yeah, I do be posting quite a lot. Um, oh man, an excuse to talk about Scorsese movies. That's fucking sick. I really hope, he's probably gone now, but I really hope what he was proposing there actually comes to fruition because um, I want an excuse to talk in depth about my favorite director. Hmm. Yeah, I do be posting. I be posting quite a lot. I'm gonna go to sleep. Sleep hasn't sucked lately. Hope you sleep. Be doing good too. Thank you. Um, Sleep well. This YouTuber be uploading. It true. It true. Them straight facts, my G. Um, I said I was gonna stop at the 3 hour mark. I think I'm gonna stop right about now. Maybe it'll take me 5 minutes to read like the last comments. Sometimes it does. Yeah, if you any final additions, uh, let your word be heard now because I'm skedaddling out of here real soon. Um, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna sit it out here. Good night. Good night to you. I am making hot pockets. Let it be known. Good night, Osaka. Enjoy your food. Tekken 7 rules? I'm not really into fighting games. Power Stone is the best fighting game to me because it has a lot more going on than most of them do. It was a good idea learning this game for a year. Oh, you're one of those kind of fighting game fans. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not. Power Stone rules, yes, it does. I'm not really the kind of fighting gamer. Well, I'm not one, but if I were one, I wouldn't be the type who would like be super autistic about learning all the combos and mechanics and movement and shit. Um, I used to play them as a kid, but uh, good night, stay safe, take care, etc. You too, and thank you very much. Um, all right, that about does it for me. I will see you all later, and thank you for uh, listening to me ramble into probably not a void.